It was in this storm that President Shahbaz Sharif sat with a heavy heart. The Pakistani military was stretched thin. Supplies were low. Allies who had once pledged undying friendship now offered only silence. And most painfully, whispers had begun to rise among the people, questioning if the state could hold. In a high-security chamber within the Prime Minister House, Shahbaz looked at the lone folder on his desk. The name on it was one few would have expected to see: Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso. A young African military officer turned revolutionary leader, Traore had become a symbol across the global south. Where others bowed to foreign interests, he stood firm. Where others played puppet, he broke the strings. And most of all, he was loved by his people. Across Africa, he had refused the West's demands, rooted out corruption, and restored dignity to his country. He had no aircraft carriers, no nuclear weapons, but he had something rarer: honor. "Get me Traore," Shahbaz said to his aide after a long silence. "Sir." The aide looked stunned. "The president of Burkina Faso." "Yes. We need help. Not from the ones who abandoned us, but from the ones who know what it means to fight for freedom." Within hours, a secure video link was established. On the screen appeared the calm but commanding face of Ibrahim Traore. Dressed in his signature brown fatigues, he saluted before speaking. "President Shahbaz, I did not expect this call. What troubles your land?" Shahbaz leaned forward. "Captain Traore, my country is under attack. Not just from within, but from foreign hands wrapped in velvet gloves. They have weaponized ethnic divisions, empowered mercenaries, and now they knock at the gates of Quetta and Gwadar. The UN offers nothing but words. The West speaks of concern while funding our enemies. My people are dying." Traore's eyes narrowed. "Why call me?" "Because your name means resistance. Because you know what it's like when the world turns its back. I ask not for armies, but for solidarity, training, intelligence, support in unmanned logistics, and most importantly, your voice. The world listens to you. Africa listens to you. If you stand with us, others may follow." The line went quiet. Then Traore spoke slowly. "I admire your courage to ask. Many leaders would rather fall in silence than call for help in dignity. I will come, not as a savior, but as a brother." When Ibrahim Traore's plane touched down in Islamabad under heavy security, he refused the red carpet. Instead, he walked down the stairs in boots, greeted not by fanfare, but by the hand of Shahbaz Sharif himself. Cameras captured the image: the African revolutionary and the Pakistani statesman shaking hands under a stormy sky. Inside a discreet military compound, the two men and their top advisors began work. Traore was briefed on the situation: foreign drones over Gwadar, sabotage of supply lines in Sindh, and covert infiltration in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. His face remained unreadable as he listened. Then he asked, "Do your soldiers still believe?" General Haroun, Pakistan's top commander, replied, "They do. But belief alone doesn't stop bullets." "But it makes them count," Traore said. Within a week, the first signs of Burkina Faso's help began to materialize, not in large armies, but in effectiveness. Burkinabe Special Forces instructors arrived, training Pakistani troops in asymmetric warfare, particularly desert tactics that had proven decisive against French-backed forces in the Sahel. Drones supplied by African allies, disguised as civilian technology, were repurposed into eyes in the sky. Intelligence sharing expanded quickly. Several foreign mercenary camps in Balochistan were neutralized in precise, small-scale strikes that bore the signature of African bush warfare: silent, swift, and deadly. But the most powerful weapon Traore brought was his voice. In an international summit hosted in Nairobi just days later, Traore took the stage. "When a sovereign nation is attacked, we must ask, who profits? Pakistan stands not against its people, but against those who seek to divide it. To my fellow Africans, today it is Pakistan. Tomorrow it could be you. Our resistance must be global." His speech went viral. African nations like Mali, Niger, and Guinea issued statements of solidarity. Even nations in Latin America and Asia, once neutral, began to voice support. In Karachi, rallies broke out with posters of Traore beside Pakistan's flag, reading, "One fight, one dignity." With morale restored, a joint operation codenamed Zameen, the Earth, was planned. Its objective: to push back the largest mercenary stronghold near Turbet, where foreign agents were believed to be coordinating attacks. Pakistani forces led the charge, while Burkinabe-trained units managed coordination and surveillance. Instead of conventional assaults, Operation Amin used psychological warfare, infiltration, and strategic sabotage, techniques born in the African bush, now applied to South Asian mountains. In 48 hours, the enemy retreated. Civilians, once fearful, came out waving flags. The captured enemy tech revealed documents linking multiple NGOs and private security contractors to hostile operations. After 2 months of coordination, the tide had turned. Pakistan stood tall once more. Traore prepared to return to Burkina Faso. At the farewell ceremony, Shahbaz Sharif took the podium. "We asked not for charity. We asked for brotherhood." Captain Traore did not bring weapons alone. He brought dignity. And in doing so, he reminded us that in a world of wolves, lions must walk together. Traore stood and replied simply, "I came because your fight is mine. The map may show continents, but our oppressors do not see borders. So why should our resistance?" Months later, a new alliance was announced, the Global South Pact for Sovereignty and Dignity, with founding members including Pakistan, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Bolivia. Its motto, "No more puppets." Joint training centers were established in Lahore and Ouagadougou. Economic cooperation followed. But more than anything, a message had been sent to the world. Nations of dignity do not kneel. And when they rise together. The war came without warning, cloaked in confusion and misinformation. What began as scattered insurgencies in Pakistan's western provinces turned into a coordinated offensive. Armed groups backed by foreign intelligence and equipped with advanced surveillance drones seized control of key supply routes and border towns. Cities like Quetta and Turbet trembled under sabotage, and the port of Gwadar, vital for Pakistan's economic future, stood on the brink of occupation. Inside the Prime Minister House in Islamabad, President Shahbaz Sharif faced a crisis unlike any before. Pakistan's traditional allies had grown cold. The Western Bloc offered only conditions, not help. Regional powers watched in silence, unwilling to risk their interests. As Pakistan's military command scrambled to respond, Shahbaz turned to an unlikely figure. A man who had no geopolitical stake in South Asia, but had become a global symbol of resistance. Captain Ibrahim Traore. The young president of Burkina Faso had shaken the foundations of neocolonialism in West Africa. His leadership had expelled foreign military bases, reclaimed natural resources, and empowered citizens. What Pakistan needed now was not just support but clarity, courage, and a different kind of warfare. The warfare of the oppressed. Through a direct diplomatic channel, Shahbaz Sharif sent a personal message. "Brother Traore, my country is under siege by enemies without and within. I do not ask for armies. I ask for a partner who understands what it means to fight for sovereignty. Will you stand with us?" The reply came swiftly. "Brother Shahbaz, we in Africa know well the hand behind the glove. I will come. Together we will break their game." Within days, a delegation from Burkina Faso landed quietly in Islamabad. Traore arrived without ceremony, in uniform and boots, carrying no entourage of pomp. Only a team of military strategists and cyber warfare experts trained in resisting European-backed insurgencies across the Sahel. His first meeting with Shahbaz Sharif was not in a grand hall, but a dimly lit war room deep inside a military compound. Traore surveyed the map. Areas of control were shifting rapidly. Baloch separatists were being supplied via mountain passes. Foreign mercenaries had set up a base near Shagai. Drones circled over Gwadar, likely piloted remotely from outside the region. He looked up and said, "You are fighting a war of illusion. Your enemies want you to strike blindly. We must see in the dark." Phase 1. Intelligence Recalibration. Traore began by reorganizing Pakistan's intelligence gathering. He brought in Burkinabe specialists in counterinsurgency who had fought French-backed rebels in the Sahel. They introduced a decentralized intelligence system, allowing small tribal communities to feed real-time information to command centers using encrypted messaging apps. He personally visited sensitive regions such as Kalat, Turbet, and the outskirts of Quetta under tight security. There, he met not with officers, but with tribal elders. "Tell me who feeds your enemy," he said, "and I will cut their tongue." The trust he won shocked Pakistani officers. One Baloch elder told President Shahbaz later he did not come as a master. He came as one of us. In 3 weeks, over 17 enemy supply routes were exposed. Several false flag operations were unveiled. Attacks blamed on locals were actually orchestrated by foreign operatives posing as separatists. Phase 2. guerrilla strategy deployment. Traore then turned to military training. Under his direction, small Pakistani strike teams were retrained in African guerrilla warfare tactics such as silent infiltration, night assaults, psychological disruption, and terrain manipulation. Drawing from his experience against heavily funded French and NATO-trained mercenaries, he restructured Pakistan's field operations. He formed joint strike teams named Shadow Claws, combining Pakistani commandos with Burkinabe tactical trainers. Their goal was not to win territory, but to destroy the enemy's ability to organize. One daring operation led by Shadow Claws stormed a hidden base in Kek, capturing advanced surveillance equipment and documents linking the insurgents to 3 foreign defense contractors. Traore handed the evidence to Shahbaz with one line: "You don't just defeat enemies, you expose them." Phase 3: Tech and Sky Warfare. With support from Burkina Faso's African partners, a fleet of lightweight drones arrived in Karachi under civilian disguise. These were not armed but built for silent observation, perfect for foggy mountain warfare. Traore's cyber warfare unit linked them into a network they called the Falcon Eye. It gave Pakistan full visibility over insurgent movement in Balochistan and along the Iranian border. When a convoy of weapon-laden trucks attempted to cross into Turbet from the south, they were intercepted in real time by local forces guided by Falcon Eye. No civilians were harmed. No collateral damage. Just precision. Phase 4: International Diplomacy Blitz. While Pakistan fought on the ground, Traore fought in the media. He released a joint statement with Shahbaz Sharif, denouncing foreign manipulation in South Asia and Africa alike. Our continents have bled not from each other's hands, but from the hands of those who sell us division. We, the Global South, will no longer be pawns. His words sparked protests in Mali, Chad, Sri Lanka, and even Latin America. Global discourse shifted. Western governments were forced to deny involvement in the war. Pakistan's diplomatic standing surged. For once they were not isolated. Phase 5: Counterpropaganda. Knowing that wars are not just won with bullets but with narratives, Traore launched a media campaign within Pakistan, especially in conflict zones. He appeared on radio in local dialects, urging unity and exposing the foreign designs behind the chaos. He said, "When they cannot kill you with weapons, they kill you with lies." The campaign resonated deeply in rural communities. Recruitment to enemy militias dropped. Desertions increased. Civilians began tipping off authorities again. The emotional tide had turned. The final blow. 3 months into Traore's assistance, a final operation was launched. It was called Operation Sufa, meaning storm. It targeted the last remaining foreign coordinated base near the Makran range. Traore advised the strategy himself. They expect you to come with tanks. Instead, come with silence. Under cover of fog and drone-blind spots, 3 Shadow Claw teams climbed a range from opposite ends. Within hours, they breached the camp. No civilians were harmed. 17 foreign operatives were captured alive. Hard drives were retrieved. The war's architects were unmasked. A farewell of fire and steel. When the skies over Gwadar finally cleared, and Pakistan had reclaimed its territories with minimal civilian casualties, Shahbaz Sharif and Ibrahim Traore stood together at the port. Traore looked out at the Arabian Sea and said, "The ocean touches both our lands. That is not coincidence. That is destiny." Shahbaz, emotional, placed a hand on his shoulder. "You gave us more than victory. You gave us memory, the kind we will pass on to our children." Traore simply replied, "And if the enemy returns, I will return too." Later, a monument was built in Balochistan. 2 hands carved from stone, one African, one Pakistani, gripping each other in defiance. At its base, the words, "Brothers in dignity, partners in resistance."